This is Wealthy AF, your ultimate guide to understand what it truly means to be wealthy AF. And today's guest is W.T. Hamilton. W.T. is a multi-time award-winning author, mindset coach, and entrepreneur specializing in helping his clients take their million-dollar ideas, turning them into amazing products and services. By applying the principles of growth mindset and mindset for success strategies to achieve their goals, dreams, and personal impossible. His many years of experience as a manager and business consultant, along with his entrepreneur life, has given him an abundance of insights and real-world knowledge that he shares with his clients. WT has discovered the cheat codes that have enabled him to achieve his personal impossible. From creating his own book series to speaking on stage at many events and venues, he's been able to turn his dream into realities. Sir, thank you for coming on and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Martin.
Today's topic, just for the audience to know, is we're going to be talking about manifesting, goal setting, mindset, and what you need to know and how does it work. So let's start. My first question is, what is the difference between manifesting, setting goals, and having a good mindset?
So the setting goals is basically, it's like your GPS to the direction that you want to go in. But manifesting is about, using sort of like your spiritual connection, using your creativity, inspired action to know when to actually start to set things into motion and when to actually step back and let the thing unfold. Because sometimes we try to push the manifestating of our goal and we tamper with it too much, and then we slow it down because we're not letting it develop. Sometimes it just needs that time to develop. And then the mindset is really understanding what it is you're trying to do, and then what stage of the goal are you in? What stage of the manifestation are you in? So that's really where the mindset plays a key role, because it's a different type of mindset for each stage that you're in when you're trying to achieve your goals and dreams.
Can you give us an example? You said about sometimes we kind of tamper with our goals. Can you give us an example of what you mean by that?
Yeah, so I do this all the time. I'll set a goal for myself. It could be something like a marketing campaign, and I want to hit a certain target and maybe get a bunch of reviews for my books. And I'll set that campaign into motion. And then there's the time that you got to wait. And what happens is when you have an abundance of time, you get time freedom. Time actually starts to play on your mind, because one day, 24 hours, feels like weeks sometimes, right? So you'll set something into motion. You're supposed to just leave it and go do something else, distract yourself with other things. But I find I'm always like going in there, peeking in on it, seeing how it's doing. Maybe I want to tweak it a little bit, mess with it. Instead of letting it just find its audience, let it do what I've set it up to do. And some of that is you farm it out to somebody and they're going to do a certain part of the marketing for you. But then I like to tamper. So that's where it kind of slows it down, because it's like you're rushing it. It's like instead of letting it just do what it's got to do and do something else, you're jumping in there and you're already baking the cake, and then you're trying to go in and open the oven and start doing more things to the batter. And that just slows everything down. Sometimes it messes it right up.
How do you use visualization to reach your goals?
So visualization is a beautiful tool, because as you visualize, when you're really focusing on what you want to have happen, you can use it to walk through. So we live in linear time in like a 3D world, but visualization is something that goes on when you close your eyes, and you can move forward 10 years in the future, or you can go in the past. So what I like to do is when I'm visualizing and want to see how something's going to work out, I'll walk through the steps in my mind of all the things that I think will happen, and kind of anticipate some of the roadblocks that I'm going to come into, and then look for solutions for those. So when I'm finished visualizing, and I'm looking at, okay, what did I kind of see and anticipate that I might run into? And then I just research those things and say, okay, how can I navigate that if this happens? So by doing that, you kind of plan what your journey is going to be while you're just sitting there silently thinking. It's a very powerful tool.
I remember reading a book. I don't remember. I must have read this book I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago. I don't remember the name of the book. But this person was talking about how they thrived in the last recession, right? In the great recession of 2008. And their secret was visualization. And the author of this book, it'll come to me hopefully before the podcast is over there. What this person was saying was that the way he grew his business was every morning he had his routine. I don't know if you've read the book by Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning. And I don't know if you've ever read that book, but it's a great book about morning routines. And he would visualize every morning, And I was in the mortgage industry back in those days. And it was a very difficult time for all of us, for everyone. Anyone that was an adult working, it was a difficult time.
Yeah.
And he would visualize. He would use visualization, and he built during that time a multi-million-dollar business when most entrepreneurs, most of us were struggling. And he did this, the strength of visualization that he used every morning. So I just want to know if you have any strategies you can share for people that are maybe not highly visual. They're more kinesthetic, they're more feel people.
Yeah, so how I use visualization and how I tell people to use it is picture you're the star of the movie, right? So you're going to build this movie, and you want this journey to be, what is it that you want to experience at the end of your goal? So it's not what you want to have, it's not how much money you want to achieve, it's what you actually want to experience. So if you say that, okay, I want this thriving business, and I want this business to make, say $300,000 a year. What is it that you really want to experience? So what is I call it your Super Bowl moment that you want to have. And it could be that you're going to have this great big celebration once you hit that evaluation, or once you hit that gross revenue. You're going to have this big celebration, and you start to build up in your mind what that celebration is going to look like, what it's going to feel like, who's going to be there. And once you have that vision, now you can start to write it down. I always like to write the vision down, but I start with the vision just in my mind as a movie. Then I write it down, and then I start to look at, okay, what are the steps and then the hurdles that I have to go through in this journey? How long is this journey going to take? And you can really walk through the journey in a different session. So the first session is really just getting that whole idea, that whole picture of what you want and the end goal. What is the end goal going to feel like and be like as an experience? Because it's a lot easier, like when you decide that you want to go on a vacation, it's a lot easier to know that you've succeeded at going on that vacation when you jump in the plane and then you fly there and you go and do something. It's easier to do that than just to say, you know, I want to have $1 million, or I want to have this material goal, because you don't know how it's going to feel, or how do you know when you've actually succeeded? So a lot of people, they hit success, but they never celebrate their success because they're always chasing the next thing. But if you have these goals as experiences, then you know for sure that you've hit that goal and you've celebrated it. And it's a lot of times it's almost exactly the way that you envisioned it would be. So I really feel like that's a key point. And then you start to map it out on paper and put details into it. And then with those details, every night you visit that visualization and you build on it. You build on it because as you grow and you get closer to it, you can build it in more depth and more detail.
I love the fact that the way you engineer it. Can you give us some steps to manifesting and goal setting? Can you give us some tangible things that people can do to start manifesting in their world and setting some goals?
Yeah. So once you set the intention, so basically I write books, and once I set the intention, okay, I'm going to write this book, then I start to look for inspired action. So I don't necessarily write the book right away. I wait for an idea to find me, because once you set the intention, the ideas will start to come to you.
100%.
And I have a notepad. Yeah, and have a notepad that keep it by my bed that I'll write down, because some of these ideas I can't do right now, but they're maybe 3 or 4 steps from right now. But so I'll write down the ideas and start to see, okay, what action can I take? What things can I do right now to start giving this some momentum? And the whole process of manifestation is setting some momentum, and then, like I said before, then stepping back and letting some of that momentum develop. So the steps are really just set the intention, decide what you want to do, decide what your big Super Bowl moment is, your big goal, the experience that you want to have. And then you start to do these small steps to put that idea into motion. You don't have to figure out everything that you want to do right away. Just the first step. What is the first step? And then as that starts to develop, the next step is going to come to you. You always ask the question, what do I need to do next? How am I going to receive this whole manifestation? So what is the next step? And I always put it as something that I learned from, I think it was the Nevered guy, is wouldn't it be wonderful if? So I always put that out there as well. Wouldn't it be wonderful if my book sold 1 million copies? Wouldn't it be wonderful if I got great reviews? And then I start to target, okay, how do I actually make that become a tangible reality for myself?
How do you get to sell 1 million books? That's a lot of That's a lot of books. How do you become a bestseller? Tell us the secret to that. How do you become? How do you do that?
I haven't sold 1 million books yet. That's something I'm working on doing. But I've been a bestseller, and it's really in your niche. It's understanding what category you're in, and then you work with book clubs. So you get your book into book clubs and get reviews and some marketing and strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done. I mean, I don't hit it with every book I do, but it is something that you can do. And I've done it with, I have a book called Manifesting Success, which became an Amazon bestseller. And it was really just following the steps of working with some marketers, working with book clubs, and working with getting reviews from these book clubs, and really pushing it all at the same time, so that you're having this big flux of momentum all at the same time, really coordinated. That's how you get your book in front of lots of people all at once, and you really get the excitement built up around it.
Got it. How can people keep motivated to reach their goal?
Yeah, so that's a hard one. So what they don't tell you about manifesting, about goal setting, is as soon as you decide that you want to do something, the first few steps are going to be super easy, and it builds up your excitement, builds up your drive. But then you're going to hit a roadblock, because whatever you want to do, you don't know enough about how to do it. There's going to be things that you don't know, because you have to learn. It might be a skill, it might be just some experience that you have to have. So you're going to run into something that's going to cause fear and doubt. Fear and doubt is the number one thing that you manifest when you first start moving toward your big goal. And so that is the first hurdle that you got to get over, is understanding it's normal to doubt yourself, because you've never done this before, and you don't know everything you need to know to be able to do it. But the beauty is you can ask the questions to yourself, how do I do this? And those ideas will find you. The solutions will find you, but you have to be able to be willing to make mistakes, be willing to struggle, and understand it's not going to be instant. Like I didn't put out my book and it instantly became a success. I had to build the momentum and get it in front of people. It wasn't easy, but I was able to do it because I persevered, I had some patience, and I had some persistence. And those three things will really drive you through. But you can't just go on motivation, because motivation is not enough. So you have to have that big goal and that experience that you want to achieve. And that's going to pull you sometimes, even when you feel like you can't do it. Just knowing that if I can get there, this is what I'm going to experience, that'll pull you through the hurdles. And then understand that it's going to be hard. So just forget easy, take easy out of the equation, and start looking at, once you learn how to do something, you become an expert at it, and you know how to do it for the rest of your life. You become a master of it, and then it becomes easy. And then the next time you want to do something similar, you already have those experiences, so it's not going to be as hard. But when you're trying something you've never done before, your personal impossible, it's going to be hard. You're going to have some doubt and fear, and you're not always going to be motivated. Sometimes you have to push yourself to do it. And that's why we have that big vision in the first place, that big goal, because that is your GPS, and that kind of magnetizes and pulls you toward that thing, even on the days where you don't feel like doing anything.
Like they say, the vision, your vision should pull you. You shouldn't be pushed. You shouldn't push for your vision. You should pull you, right?
Yeah.
So I've heard that. I've heard that before. How important is gratitude when you're manifesting and you're setting intentions?
So gratitude, it depends on how you're using it. So gratitude, I feel, is the most important thing for anything that you're doing, but it's gratitude about the little things. Like I always say, have gratitude for the little things because not everybody has them. So sometimes you have to understand that even time to think, you should have gratitude if you have time to think, time to investigate and find a solution. Sometimes people don't even have time to dream. They don't have time to even have quality, environment to be able to think about the next thing that they want to do or how they want to improve their life. So it's having gratitude for even the smallest things that other people take for granted. If you have gratitude for those little tiny things, because the little wins, the small wins, they come frequently. Those big life-changing wins, they don't come as frequently. You might get them once a quarter. You might only get them once a year. You might have to go 2 years before you have a really big life-changing experience. But all the way along, you're having these little wins, these little things that we take for granted. But if you don't, man, it's like you're saying to the universe, you're saying to the cosmos, I appreciate the little blessings you're giving me. And then you start to get an abundance of more blessings. So gratitude is key if you use it properly.
Is it possible to manifest negative things into your life?
Oh yeah, that's the easiest one to do.
Tell us about that. How's that?
So when you want to do something, the first thing usually you start to make is a list of all the reasons why you can't do something. So your personal impossible, you make a list of all the things that you can't do, and then you justify it by saying, well, I know this person tried it and it didn't work, and that person tried it. Negative things are easy because there's so much negative around you, and so you can easily say, this is the reason why I couldn't do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not from the right background. I don't have the right education. Whatever reasons, and they're not excuses. I call them reasons because they are real reasons why you think you can't do something. And it's easy to find other people that are going to agree with you. But when you want to do something and you want to do it in a positive way, you're gonna struggle to find people that are going to support and be excited for you and think that that's a great idea, because they're looking at it like, man, you're going to do that and you're going to fail and it's going to be embarrassing for you. I'm trying to protect you by saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that right now. Maybe you should learn how to do this other thing, or maybe it's not even the right thing for you. And they think they're helping you, but they're really stopping you from doing something that you potentially could do. But it's easy to manifest negativity because it's everywhere, and everybody expects things to be hard and expects that, oh, you're probably not going to make it because only one out of so many people actually succeed at that thing that you're trying to do. So the negativity is there in abundance, and so it almost feels normal. It feels normal to doubt yourself and have and manifest negative results.
So I've heard it said that the bad things are always there. And there's always the bad things are always there in our life. We can always find those challenging things. I shouldn't say bad. The challenges are always there in our life, but also so are the good things always there in our life.
Yeah.
I've heard it said that where your focus goes, energy flows and results show.
Yeah, it's true. And you can see that in anything that you do. Things that you believe that you can do, you achieve them no matter what. Like, we all achieve small things. Like, we believe that if we build up enough money, we can buy a car. Everybody who wants to buy a car can buy cars. It's so easy to do, right? That we take it for granted that anybody could buy a car. But when you want to do something really big, the big scary dreams, that's where we find this hard to do. And it's hard to find other people that are focused on the same direction and have the same beliefs that you have, because your immediate circle, probably you don't have more than one person. If you can find one person in your group that is as ambitious as you are. So now you have to go outside of your circle and start to align yourself with other people that think that way, so that you don't feel weird thinking that, hey, I can do these big miraculous things, my personal impossibles, my big dreams. But if you're trying to tell that to people that think you're crazy, then you're going to feel like you're weird, like you don't fit in, because you have these big visions of things that you can do and nobody else around you can see it.
Now, I always tell people like Coach WT that, to your point, that in order to be successful, there's 3 things about your environment that are super important. That's number 1 is who you spend time with is the most important, right? Like who I'm hanging out with, because that determines the conversations we're having, that determines the level of dreams and ambitions and things and the standards, right? Your peers set, you set your standards, and for you and them. Number 2 is who you're listening to. That's the next thing, right? Which is right along with your peers. You're spending time with, you're listening to people, but not who you're listening to just with who you're spending time with, but who you're listening to, like even on this podcast, right? You're listening to us. You got to discern who you're listening to. Am I listening to people I want to be like? Am I listening to people that have done what I want to do? Are they at least going in the direction that I want to go with? And number 3 is what you're watching, what you're consuming online. So I've seen, my wife goes on my social media, and when I go on my timeline, on my social media for my timeline, the algorithm feeds me on my timeline nothing but positive quotes, business things. Like, it knows what I want, right?
Yeah.
It knows what I consume. And when I go to her timeline, my wife's timeline, it shows her things about motherhood and dogs and art, and these are the things that she likes, right? So, but if you go to, there's other people that might be listening to us that might be that their timeline shows neither, right? Their timeline might be showing the gossip and the bullshit and the this and the that, and it shows you the drama. And like, social media has occasionally tried to show me drama, and I immediately say, I don't want to see this. I'm like, do not show this to me again. I am not interested in this kind of nonsense. I'm not feeling like. So the 3 things is who you're spending time with, who you're listening to, and what you're letting your eyes intentionally, what you're letting your eyes see and hear. What are your thoughts on that?
So I would tell you a story. So a few years ago, I was really following I think it was back when Trump was first running against Biden. I think it was around there. And I was really watching that stuff and consuming it. And then there was a hurricane that came along, and the coverage switched to the hurricane. And I was getting upset. It's like, why are you showing this hurricane, man? I want to know about this other stuff that's going on. And then I realized I'm invested in this thing way too much, where I'm not even caring about something that could actually affect people's lives. And so I stepped back. I canceled my CNN and all my cable news stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't watched the cable news much now. I watch like a bit of the comedy stuff that people do, but I realized that it didn't matter to me who was in charge from year to year to year to year. I've always made money and been able to achieve my goals. And so the more that I focus on just me, and I really look at, I have a saying that says, I don't have to worry about the things I can control. The things that I can't control, worrying has no effect on. So I really have nothing to worry about. So as long as I stay focused on just what I want to do, and I block out all the new stuff,
all the noise, man,
all the noise, because it doesn't affect me, and it would affect me if I watch it, but in a negative way. So for me to be positive and have a positive outlook, I only consume the positive stuff. So I went through that, and I experienced it, and I caught myself, kind of being negative with that stuff, and realized how much that influences your mind, your mindset, and the vision of what you can do in your life, just by these other people and the things that they're complaining about.
The drama that they have in their life, and all the drama and all the negative energy and all of that stuff. That's just, listen, I had a mortgage company in 2006. I closed it. I had a mortgage. I was doing mortgages from 2005 all the way to 2008, 9. And I made, at that point, I was about 26, 27 years old, and I was killing it, man. That was the very first time any of my businesses ever made $1 million, and my business made $1 million in one of those years. I think it was 6. We were killing it. It was easy. Doing loans was easy back then. We were doing subprime loans. I mean, it was real easy to give money. And then 2008 came in. And in 2008, we had the crash. In 2009, my mortgage broker's license was lit. I was staring at my mortgage broker's license that previously, a couple of years ago, had made my business, not me personally, but the business overall in fees. We had made $1 million. It was the first time I had a company that did that. My broker's license, the thing that allowed me to do that was in the garbage can in my garage. I was looking at it in the garbage can. I closed my company down. I went from a nice big office to a smaller office to a little tiny room by myself, from having like 10, 12 LOs, loan officers, right? At the hype of the market. And I remember during that time, I was obsessed because I was in the mortgage industry. So they were accusing us, the mortgage brokers, of the root cause of the world recession that we were going through. And I was in the midst of that. And I would be watching the news every single day. Watching the news. What's happening with the stock market? What's happening with WAMU, right? What's happening with this bank? What's happening? We even had there was a website for brokers. Forget the name of the website. If you guys are listening, put in the chat or put in the comments. There was a website, guys. If those of you that were in the mortgage, if you guys remember and it was a website that had the numbers of the banks imploding every day. Literally, brother, it was a website, and I was obsessed with this website. I would go to this website. Oh, who's failed? Oh, this bank failed. Man, I used to broker with them too. Shit, they're gone too. And then one day I remember being on my treadmill and I was watching CNN or Fox, one of the news things, the financial things, and it was just all the negative and the energy of the world is coming to an end, and the world, and we're going to go into a depression. And I realized what it was doing to me. It was just making me feel horrible. And it was around 2009, man. I stopped watching the news. So I have a long time without, I realized in that moment, I was like, holy crap, this thing is not helping me mentally. I am indulged in this negative news about, I already know this. I'm already in the mix. I should be focused on what can I do to be able to weather the storm and or thrive. And I stopped watching the news back then, brother, because like you, I realized what it was doing to me mentally, man. It was draining me. And now I do watch some news. I'm not going to say I don't watch news, but I watch news that I want to watch. So I want to listen to economists because I'm a real estate guy. I want to listen to economists. I want to watch real estate data. I'm watching programs that are giving me data that are going to allow me to make better decisions. And the minute I discern that the undertone, you got to be able to determine the undertone of the person giving you the information, because they want to, they'll be biased one way or the other. The minute I discern an undertone of negativity, or it's just the world is always on fire with this person, I'm out. I'm just, I'm good with you. Thank you for the data. I'll take the data. I'll process it myself and make my own determination. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, that's exactly how. So if I watch anything with the news, because I still check in, I'll check in on YouTube usually, and I'll watch like the first minute and a half because they're telling you something that happened. But as soon as they go to the commentators, I switch it off, because now the commentators are going to tell me how I should think and feel about what I just watched. I can do that myself.
I don't need exactly. I'm a thinking person, and that's the insult with media, with some media outlets, news outlets, that is like, hey man, you're interpreting this your way. That's not your job. Your job is to give me the information, You actually disrespecting me and dishonoring me by telling me what to think about the subject matter. That's not your job. Your job is to give me the information and let me discern how I want to discern the subject matter. That's what a thinking person does. Unfortunately, we don't live in an age, we live in an age of influencers and all of this and all of that, I had a mentor that used to tell me this, WT, everyone wants to be successful, right? Have you ever met anyone that doesn't want to be successful? I haven't yet, right? Everyone wants to be successful from money, this, fame, whatever it is for them, whatever success means to them. And here's what he said to me. He said, everyone wants to be successful, but no one wants to do the hard work of thinking.
Yeah.
And to be successful, it requires thinking.
Yeah.
Everyone wants it. So it's easier just to be told what to think. It's easier to be told what to believe, or here's what you should believe on this topic. No, I don't need to believe shit. I need to be able to, let me discern it myself based on my own life experiences, based on my own interpretation of what I'm seeing. I have my own two eyes and how I process it. I'm entitled to that. I don't need you to push your agenda onto me.
Exactly. And the quality of thought, you can only get that by controlling your environment, controlling what you have coming into your environment. So if you have all this negative stuff, like I don't even listen to, like I see people listening to a lot of like heavy music, the angry music. I don't listen to that stuff because it's like, that's putting me on a different vibe than what I want to be on. So I listen to like upbeat, positive vibe stuff. I really look at who's telling me things and what is their agenda. What are they trying to do? What emotion are they trying to provoke, and what kind of vision are they trying to put in my head? And if it's something that I don't want to think about, I don't listen to it. I just move on. The beauty of being able to, what I call is kind of disconnect from the emotional part of the, the information. Once you can disconnect from that, you can still observe it, but with a non-biased eye, because you're not like emotionally invested in it. And so what happens is when people come up to you and they talk to you about things, you don't get into all the gossip and all the drama of whatever it is that you've heard, because you're looking at, okay, this person's worrying about the person that amateur women's boxing. I don't know anything about amateur women boxing. I don't have anybody that is in amateur women boxing, so I don't have an opinion because it's not something that. So I changed the subject. Like I'm not into that. But have you seen how the Steelers are doing this year? I'll just change the subject to something I want to talk about, and if they don't want to talk about that, then we're done with the conversation.
Got it, brother. Well, thank you so much, man. It's been a great conversation, WT. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they find you? Where can they connect with you? What's your social media handles? How can people find you, sir?
So I'm pretty active on Instagram. So w.t.hamilton on Instagram. I have a website, mindsetforsuccesstraining.com, where you can get some freebie downloads, and I do a lot of free training videos on there. And those are the two best ways. And then you can get my books on Amazon, and I have links to both my Amazon pages on both those accounts.
Got it. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been my pleasure, honor to have you coming on the show. Appreciate you, sir.
Trying to think you had a great time.